Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the
Every
field.
product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son, major retailers.
Yeah.
So, Jack, is it? We think this is cool. Is this cool?
The thing with Amazon is just it become more and more complicated over the years.
Yeah, maybe you can also consider to create more online resources.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed Podcast, where we unwrap the story behind the toys and the game company that's shaping our world. In today's episode, I'm thrilled to welcome Helaina, the founder of Kids Table Board Gaming, for a deep dive into the world of family-friendly board games and also sharing her own entrepreneurial journey in the toy industry. Thank you so much for joining with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
What inspired you to start the company, and how was your background in education influence some of your game design process?
I have been a teacher for over 20 years, and I have been teaching from grade 1 to grade 8, all sorts of subjects. But somehow I managed every year to bring in tabletop gaming into my classroom. Students learn best when they think that they're not learning. And that's really where the journey began.
Yeah.
When I had my own children and played games with them, I started realizing that while the games that we play together, like Snakes and Ladders and Story and those sorts of games and Monopoly Junior, have some very good things in them for kids to learn, like taking your turn, learning how to lose in a safe way. That didn't do much for me as a parent.
Okay.
I found that I loved spending the time with my children, but it was not exciting for me. It wasn't making me enjoy the thing that we were doing, just the fact that I was spending time with my kids. So I set out to see if I could find a game where I would enjoy playing and my kids could enjoy playing as younger players, newer players. And there really wasn't anything out there on the market. There were family games that were a little bit too intense and strategy games that were too intense for my younger children. Just the sort of mass market games that are exciting and fun for kids. They play it 1 or 2 times, but not engaging for me. My husband and I designed a game called Food Fighters, and we realized that this game would be great for kids and adults to play together because there's is a level playing field. I can play with as much strategy as I want to, and my kids could just play the game and enjoy the game without really thinking 2 steps ahead. As they learn how to play, they start realizing that there is a little bit of strategy that they can use. So we deem that as being emergent strategy. We designed this game and I wanted to make it myself. I didn't want to pitch it to a company. I wanted to see if I could take my entrepreneurial spirit and turn it into a successful game. And it was. We started on Kickstarter. We funded the game and we made the game and we gave it to our backers, and I found a way to get it on the shelves in some stores in the US and Canada. And then I thought, we did that successfully once. Let's try to do that again. And by the end of this year, we'll be 24 games deep.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
It's really amazing.
Okay.
And it's been 9 years. And so in 9 years, we've gone through a lot in the game. And also, we got to a point where I couldn't do the teaching and the games at the same time. So here I am. Now I am a full-time game publisher.
That's a very interesting journey. How do you strike the balance between creating games that are accessible to children, yet it's also engaging for the parents at the same time?
I think I start from a really good place, first of all, because I am a parent and also because I was a teacher for so long. And my number one job as a teacher was to engage kids. That engagement doesn't stop just at children. It goes to the adults as well. So what we try to do is find games where we'll be able to do that thing where I said when we made Food Fighters, level the playing field, where we can have a game that is strategic enough for adults to feel like they are doing something in the game, and also easy enough for kids to play the game anyway and still enjoy the things that they're playing. With all of our games, it comes with a full rule set. We actually make suggestions in the rules where you can take certain things out to make it more accessible for younger kids or even newer players, because as we know, it's easier to learn something when it's on the easier side than it is when it's more difficult.
And you say you have total of 24 games that's currently on the market?
We actually have, in the middle of making games for families, we came across a game that we really wanted to make, but it wasn't a family weight game. It was an adult strategy game where it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to play. It's a pretty crunchy game. I started a second brand for our company. And in fact, I actually have 3 brands now, but that's another story. So between the 2 brands or the 3 brands, we have at the end of 2024, we will have 24 games on the shelf.
What is the reason behind having 3 different brands? Of course, one maybe is for adult, one's for younger kids. How about the third one that you have?
So the third one was, we picked up this game that my husband had actually done the art and graphic design for when it was originally made about 15 years ago. And the company who was making it decided that they didn't want to make it anymore. And I was very interested in it because it was one of my favorite games. When I approached the designers, it took a little bit of coaxing, but they had decided that we were the right publisher for them. And that line of games, which it is now a line of games, we have several of them, it didn't fit in any of the categories we had. And then I brought on a partner. So with that partner, we're making this one line of games that is specific to this game.
Are they all selling under the same company then? I was just wondering, how do you structure it? Do you just have 3 different trademarks that's all registered under the same company, or do you have like multiple company structure?
We have 2 companies. One is KTBG Inc. And under that company is the KTBG, or the Kids Table Board Gaming, and Burnt Island Games. And in the other company is called Age of Gaming. That company makes a line of games called Endeavor.
How do you typically create like marketing content to really promote and get people to know the game? Because there's so many board games in the market as well.
That's right.
Do you have any specific marketing strategy that was working well for you guys?
At this point, we are very married to having pledge managers or a Kickstarter campaign. And the reason that is because it focuses us into doing the marketing that is necessary to get our games out there. Within the board game hobby industry, Kickstarter is very well known. We get reviewers, we make a video, we have the different components of the game laid out on the page. It forces us into starting that marketing journey for the game. When the game goes to retail, it's very easy for us to say, have a look at our Kickstarter campaign and you'll get everything you need to know from there. And one of the other big things is we try to have influencers within the hobby board game market do reviews for us. So that's number one. And number two, we do in the hobby games industry have a very big space. So a lot of our digital marketing goes through Meta. That very much works for us.
How is the return on advertising spend with Meta for the brand so far?
It just depends on what game and where we are. I have typically done 3 to 5 times ROI, and sometimes depending on the game, it will go even lower than that. Lower than that. So we're very happy for what we've been able to do. Right now, we're marketing a game called How to Save a World. It's going to be on Kickstarter, and we're actually working with a company called BackerKit to do our marketing for that. Do you know BackerKit?
No, I haven't heard of that, but there's a lot of Kickstarter company out there. There's like hundreds.
There are. One of the biggest ones that does the pledge manager takes the backers from Kickstarter and converts them over and into manageable information. That platform actually has a very good base within the hobby games industry. They've been doing a lot of our marketing for us on Facebook specifically, but also on Instagram.
Does a lot of those digital marketing and creative also translate to other online marketplaces like Amazon or Walmart for you guys?
Yes, we've been working the last couple of years on creating A+ pages for Amazon. That marketing helps us get reviews on our games, which brings your product higher into the rotation on Amazon. And we're just moving into doing advertising with Amazon specifically on a specific game. So we have a game that was actually designed by 2 kids. It's a really neat game where you are making recipes out of dice. It's called Dice Veggies. and you're taking a cardboard cleaver and you're cutting the dice away from a block. But it translates very nicely into visuals, and we've been selling it very well. And we know that Amazon is going to do really well for us as well. So we're moving into doing some Amazon marketing.
Are you doing that in-house, or how does that setup work?
Yeah, so we are doing it in-house. The company that we use to distribute our games runs our Amazon sales. They're in charge of making all that happen. That's coming up very soon. We've never done that before, and I'm excited to see where that takes us. And hopefully it takes us into a very different place than we are now.
For sure, yeah. Amazon is definitely a kind of a tricky platform to navigate sometimes. There's a lot of landmine that you can step on and blow up. What role do you see board game playing in the family dynamic, and how does your company contribute to that?
I love that question so much, especially because we're looking at it with a toy industry lens. When I look at the toys that my kids have played with over the years, there are very few that engage me as well. I might sit next to my child while they're playing with their toy, but I don't engage with it. Other than like Lego or something that speaks to more people. The difference between a toy and a game is engagement, and engagement for people, not just person. But it's nice to watch my kids playing with their toys and their friends, but I'm typically not doing it with them. Number one, it brings people together, not just kids. It brings everyone together. And that's what our games try to do, is span the ages so that we can sit down and play a game with our 4-year-old and the adults and the grandparents, and everybody is enjoying themselves. Once you get everyone around the table engaged and enjoying themselves, then you actually are having real experiences together. You can talk about, remember last week when we played that game and you did the thing and we were so excited that you did that thing? That doesn't happen with a kid sitting down with a toy and playing with a toy. Not in the same way. Really believe that our games, specifically because they're tailor-made for different age groups, really allows that bonding to happen.
When you're designing the game, what are some of the key principles of value that you look at that guide your approach to both game design and also storytelling as part of the game too?
For us, it has to be engaging. We all experience the world not just through one mode. We are intelligent beings and we think, but we also touch and we hear and we notice things. To me, a game is not just engaging when it's fun to play, but with the way it looks and the way it feels and the way it sounds. When we look for games to make, or when we're designing games, those are the things that we're looking for. Number one, is it fun to play? And is everyone going to be engaged? Number two, does it have table presence? Am I going to want to look at this thing on my table more than once, more than twice? Am I going to want it to be on my shelf? So we make sure that all of our games are beautiful. There's a very good example of like that multimodality with a game, with our game Fossilis, which is, it's a 3D dig site where you're moving tiles around, and these are very Fossilis, Fossilis. So you're moving tiles around, and they're thick, chunky tiles, and you're moving them around on 3D board. And underneath are pits, and in the pits are, yes, exactly, are actual, they're not actual, but they're dinosaur bones, where you need to use a pair of tweezers and actually pull the bones out of the 3D dig site. You are not just excitedly making this museum filled with dinosaurs that you've got the bones for, but you are also experiencing, that's a 3D dig site where your character is going to move the tiles off, and there are the bones, and you use those tweezers to pull them out. It's not just tactile, also like the sound of the tiles moving around and the sound of pulling the dinosaur bones out really makes you feel something, like you're actually doing something.
Oh, I love the design. Yeah. For those of you that are listening to the podcast, you can also watch the video that she had on her website, and we'll make sure we include a website link in the show note as well for the listener.
Thank you. When I think about our game, to me, that feels the most engaging in and using many of my senses. This is the one game that really does it all. I mean, everybody wanted to be a paleontologist when they were a child. And and you can do that with this game. You actually can do that. You're digging out bones.
What is the age recommendation for this game?
With this game, we say about 10 and up. You could go to 8 and up, But if you take certain things out of the game to make it a little bit easier, you can
Is
go
this
lower.
one currently on Amazon as well? I'd love to buy
Yeah.
one for my son,
Yeah.
actually. Hey,
Yes.
okay. How long does it take from idea to concept design to prototyping to like the real product?
I saw this game on a table. It was a prototype made out of Lego that had the tiles on the 3D dig site, and that 3D dig site was all Lego. When I saw it, I was like, I knew we had to make it. I knew that this was going to be our game. But there were a lot of things we needed to think about. First of all, we had to make the gameplay work for us. And it was great when we first played it, but it had to become our game. From the time that I saw it on the table until the time that it was on shelves took about 2.5 years. So we go through probably like a year of developing the game. But then there was actually the engineering of the board itself. And we have a partner that we've worked with many times. They're called Game Trays. They designed the board, while Josh, who is our creative director, designed how it was going to work. So you can see on that 3D dig site, around the 4 corners, there are these little knobs. And we actually have a top to it where after you sprinkle the bones in, you can shake it up so you don't know where the bones are. You slide a piece, it's like a piece of cardboard. You slide it in through between the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
And you take off the top and you still can't see what's down in the pit. And you place the tiles on and then you slide it out. It's really neat engineering. Josh designed that piece of it. That probably in itself took about 6 months to make happen. And then we had to go through a couple of different iterations of it because we had to have it sent. We do our manufacturing in China, so we had to have it sent from China and look at if it works. And there are tweaks that you need to make here and there. And of course, everything is made out of a mold. That mold needed to change, and it takes 1.5 to 2 months to make the mold itself. Once we had that sort of figured out, we had our Kickstarter campaign. Kickstarter campaign was a month long, and we went through the Kickstarter successfully. It was our most, at that time, successful Kickstarter campaign.
Wow, congrats. How much money do you raise on Kickstarter for this?
I believe it was about, I should check before I say it. Also, we're in Canada, so everything is in Canadian dollar, but we had more backers and more money than we had ever raised on a campaign. So we had 4,600 backers, just more than that, and raised $232,000 Canadian, which for us was really fantastic because the previous one we had 1,500 backers and $60,000 was raised. So it was a big jump for us.
Yeah, big jump.
And then from there we kept jumping. Our Kickstarter, our number of backers got higher, and we raised more money, and we've continued to do that. It's gone up and down, but it's been really great for us.
How do you incorporate as many educational elements into your games when you are like doing the design? And how does your process work?
So one of the things I learned as a teacher is when you are purposely pushing the curriculum onto kids, they don't learn in the same way as if you are sneaking it in. And often when kids are playing a game, they don't actually realize that they're learning things. And they're learning things because they're pushing themselves to learn it, not because somebody's teaching that or like pouring the information into their brains. Essentially, our games, every game is mathematics. Even if you're playing word games, it's all about mathematics. Kids don't really realize that. They also don't realize that they're strategizing. They're always strategizing. That's not something you can actually teach a kid in a classroom. So those things I think are very hidden. We don't purposely try to put the education in unless it's something like Fossilis, for example. So each of the dinosaur cards, they're actual dinosaurs that existed, have scientific information about it on the card. I have found that kids who play the game become interested in 1 or 2 dinosaurs and start researching. So you can't teach that. You can't really teach them to be excited about that stuff either. Whatever is in the game that is educational is all by accident. We don't try to do that on purpose. That being said, for example, Dice Veggies, which is one of our latest games, we actually have lessons for teachers that they can use in their classrooms. So one of the things that you have to do on your turn is cut away dice from the block. When you cut away those dice, you can only cut up to 10 of the dots. One of the things I used to teach when I was teaching grade 1 and grade 2 was how to make tens. Very easy. Greater than, less than, also because you can cut away less than 10 dots. And so I didn't want to make this game because it was going to be educational. It just happened to be there. When a teacher asks me, what is your game that, teaches this thing? I'll look at my catalog and I'll say, you can use these 2 games for that. Those are the games they're most engaged in, that they want to play again.
Mm-hmm. What is your vision for your company in the next 3 years, in particular on the product you're going to push out and creating more board games that is the intersection between, of course, educational and also family entertainment?
I'm always thinking about how games will play in an educational setting because I've had them in my classroom and I know the ones that work and the ones that don't. My goal for the next few years is to create more lessons for that teachers can use in their classroom. And we're starting a program where you can download the lesson and also get 10% off in our web store. The reason we want to do that is because we want teachers to be using the game for the education that's in them and see where that learning takes place. It is something I've wanted to do for a very long time, but I haven't had the capacity to do it because I had 2 full-time jobs. And now I'm moving into, I still want to be part of education, but making the games now. So that's a big part of what we're doing over the next little while is trying to get the games into the classroom. But I also know that when a kid is in a classroom and they're playing a game that's fun and the teacher has told them, you actually learned these things, they're going to go home and say, I played Dice Veggies today and I learned how to make tens using a 6 and a 4 and a 5 and a 5 and a 2. It won't be 2 and an 8 because there's no 8 on a dice. These are the different ways you can make 10, and that might spark the parents into purchasing the game as well and having that be part of what they do as a family, play the game as a family. So I really do see a really huge bridge between what's happening in the classroom and what can happen at home as well.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And this is the question I ask every single guest is, if you have to share just one piece of advice with someone that's getting started in the toy industry, what would that be?
That would be find people who are in the toy industry and ask lots of questions.
I love that.
There is no shame in getting help from people. And when I started out, it was all about asking questions and trying to gain the knowledge that people who are already there and who are already successful has already gained. I really do believe that we are in an industry that makes people happy. And I feel that way about the people within the industry as well. People want to share. They love to share.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice. And the best way to learn is to learn from other people's mistakes as well.
Yes, that's true. Very true.
Where can people find you? Where can the listener audience find you?
So we are kidstablebg.com. That is our website. Also, we are on Instagram and X and Facebook. On Instagram and X, we're Kids Table BG. And on Facebook, we're Kids Table Board Gaming. And if you want to ask me questions or would love to hear from you about pitching us a game, if you wanted to do that, you can contact us through any of those methods.
Thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing your story, sharing your journey. And I think like designing board game is definitely like the one you just shared. There's a lot of steps to get the product into life. So thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Toy Business Unboxed, hosted by Jason Shea. Thank you for joining us in exploring the fascinating world of toys and the ingenuity behind them. To stay updated with the latest episodes and continue your journey into the toy business, remember to subscribe and follow us. If you found today's episode insightful, please leave a rating and review and share this podcast with others who share your passion for toys. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.